go, Landon. Back at Martinsville, You're back in a race car. I mean, this was something that was really big for a lot of race fans and obviously for yourself. So just coming out of first practice now, what's it feeling like being back in the car?
Yeah, I mean, it feels good, and Martinsville is a track that I'm very, very comfortable at. So I feel like I, could get a good idea of what the car needs and get a good assessment on myself. To know, okay, I think I'm doing what I need to be doing. So I'm just happy to be here, and I think that I'm really excited how eager my team is and my crew chief is to hear from me and hear my feedback. That's always really encouraging. You feel like someone is engaged in what you're saying, and so it makes me feel like my information is valuable.
Yeah, I mean, it's a new team and you have so much experience, so I guess that's part of it. They really want a driver. Jeffrey had a bit of experience as well, but you hundreds of starts, so I guess that's part of it. They look at your feedback and they're really looking for it.
Right, absolutely. So it's these practice sessions are very limited. We run out of time for sure, every time, and we will run out of time every time. So we've got to make the most out of our changes, and so I feel like we've done all right. We didn't get any major adjustments in yet, but hopefully we get this next practice session in and we can work on the car.
Yeah. What was it like being out there for your first run? Strapping back into the race car. Is it really just a switch? Or are you really? Does this weekend really feel different than your past ones, just with the circumstances?
I feel like it's a bit of a switch. It probably felt different for me last night, this morning, driving up. I'm not in the habit. I haven't gone through the routines of the start of a season yet. So this is the start of my season. So once you're in the race car, all that kind of goes away, and it's like it just takes you back to what you're used to doing. But just the getting used to the hauler and the people and the the way things operate is new for me, and so that's going to take time.
Something that was new to you, missing races. It's been quite a few years, and I mean, what was Daytona like? What was the West Coast swing like? What just mentally?
Yeah, I mean, it was really hard. I mean, it's hard to miss those races, but I feel like I made the most of my time off with my family, and had good chances to really think about how I want to progress moving forward. So now it's just time to kind of hit the road and do that.
Right. Have you been paying close attention to front row or maybe other small teams? I mean, obviously you're trying to stay relevant. I'm going to ask you about that a little bit, about relevance. But have you been following specific teams, maybe this one so far this year, to kind of get a better understanding of where the small teams like this are at in 2018?
Yeah, I mean, you just know you pay attention to how Starcom has been performing and communicating with them over the last few days of what they feel like they need or what they've been lacking, and where I can contribute to that, because and it really comes down to, like I said, the limited practice time. We just have a short period of time to say, hey, this is what we got to focus on in this car for this practice session. So the work that I've been doing with NBC and NASCAR America is kind of pushed me to really pay close attention to what's going on in the races anyways. And now that I'm doing it from the perspective of being in the car, I can give even better feedback for those shows and things like that. So, but as a driver and a free agent in this sport, you have a pretty good understanding of what's going on in the garage, who's doing what, who. As the season progresses, teams start making changes and things like that, and that. But, I'm really impressed with the folks at Starcom Racing. I think that they have really great ambitions to build their team up. And, this team's brand new. They're just a couple months old. You got to give them a lot of credit for being here and doing that, having a charter, knowing what they need to get to the racetrack.
Yeah. What does the off-season entail for a guy looking for a ride? I mean, you've been in that position before. I mean, you were at front row for a little bit, but I'm not entirely sure, how stable, was it, year to year, stuff like that. But, I mean, what does the off-season entail for a guy looking for a ride? I mean, you go to
tough.
TV, you do stuff. But...
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. The sport right now, especially the kind of the bottom third of the field owners, their number one priority is having a sponsor on the car. Yeah. You'd love to say that the number one priority is having the driver that they want, but it doesn't really do them any good to have the driver they want if there's nothing funding the program. So, it's hard to be a free agent driver because you have a lot of conversations where the teams are saying, we would love to have you as our driver, but we got this other stuff we're working on. and it's hard to see them put someone in the car that they actually, they told you, well, we're not really high on this person, but he's bringing a sponsor or something like that. So, that stuff makes it hard, and it's but that's the reality of the business. You just kind of have to work around it, and I seek sponsorship myself. I really want to be able to contribute on the business side for Starcom Racing, for the team that I'm with, and whoever it is I'm driving for.
Yeah, and Jeffrey, you went through a lot of the same struggles as you. He's always seemed to have it really tough, and he was just with his team. So a difficult situation. I bet you've gotten to know him over the last couple of years. So what were your thoughts on on not only how he did, but the position that he's in now?
Yeah, I feel for him. I know what he's going through, and I think that Jeffrey, Jeffrey is a survivor in this sport, and I think that he's always been able to kind of find a little bit of money to get himself opportunities, and he needs to keep doing that because he if he can keep doing that for a number of years, he will have enough starts and he will get the experience, and he will have a good couple stretch of years where he can have that reputation now of someone that says, hey, we just need you to come on over and drive this car for a few weeks. He can definitely get there if he keeps grinding it out, and he's definitely a person that can do that.
Yeah. Are there any hard feelings? Not from him to you, but maybe like when you were in positions where you had a ride or almost had a ride, and then someone comes along with a sponsor and you're just not able to get it. Are there hard feelings, or is that just something you just move straight on to the next thing?
Well, every situation is different, but I think no matter what, you tend to feel like someone took your job. But that's just natural. But it just depends on the exit. It depends on how things were going and what the situations all entail.
Did you feel I guess a little bit consistent at front row, like I guess year to year, like you never knew if you were coming back the next year? Was it kind of a situation like that?
Yeah, that's kind of how front row operates. They don't typically sign their driver contracts till late in the winter, and they've historically wait for the biggest sponsorship deal to fund their program, and then once that either comes or doesn't come, they pull the trigger on a driver. So when they hired me in 2016, it was I was on the hook for a few months as hey Landon, we want to hire you, but we're waiting on these other deals to come through. And then even after 2016, it was the same thing going into 2017. These teams need funded. Bob Jenkins puts up a lot of his own money to go racing, and so they want to get it paid for before they pull the trigger.
Racing to impress. You've done that pretty much your entire year, your entire career. How does that experience help you with just a 2-race deal like this?
It sounds big to say, oh, you're racing to impress, but it's for me. It's a matter of doing the right job. What Starcom Racing doesn't need right now is someone that's out trying to impress other people. I'm trying to impress Starcom. I'm trying to, I'm not even a matter of trying to impress them. I'm trying to do a good job for them. They need feedback on their cars. They need their car not to be tore up. They need the car to make it through the whole race, and so that we can, take this car that ran Martinsville and prepare for Richmond. And be able to work on it from there. So, that's the job that I'm focused on doing, and I'm not really focused on impressing as much as I am doing the right job.
Have you checked out the shop? Do you know like how many cars they have? Have you been able to really understand the team from the background side?
Yeah, a little bit. I've been in the shop once, and they've got a handful of cars, and I think they've got more cars coming. So, they're a growing operation. It's just been around for a couple months.
Yeah, I spoke to Blake Cook yesterday. Obviously, he's out of his Xfinity ride from last year, but he's staying relevant. He's doing driver coaching and trucks and Xfinity. He's starting a business. He's doing all this stuff to stay relevant. You definitely know how important that can be, because if you're not in the garage, I think Ward Burton said it. He thought he would get a phone call someday, but if you're not in the garage, people just forget about you. Exactly.
Yeah, you definitely got to be around.
Yeah. Just what are the importance of that? Just with drivers who are just out of a ride, but they stay involved.
Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind. So that's why I'm happy to be working with NBC. I'm working on some cool stuff outside of just NBC as well, on media and making content in the racing world. So those are projects I'm excited about. And I think, I think that just being here is important, but even more importantly, being behind the wheel.
Mm-hmm. What are your expectations for tomorrow?
Kind of going back to what I said just a minute ago, where I want to do the job for Starcom that they need from me. I want to give them good feedback. I want to see progress of the car. Mm-hmm. Hopefully the suggestions that I make to the team are based on accurate feelings of what I feel in the car. And I want to make it through 500 laps and take care of the equipment and have fenders on it and not go digging down a hole that we don't need to get into. Mm-hmm. You want to make sure that we put together a solid race.
Yeah. I spoke to Ross Chastain just a minute ago. He has a question for you. That was about new memes. Do you have any new Twitter memes that you're putting together? You're kind of known for that.
I don't know. I just let the internet take over. But there was just the other day. I saw some pretty good show car pictures. So it started the Show Car Hall of Fame. You'll have to look for the Show Car Hall of Fame on my timeline.
Okay, I'll send it to his way. So, yeah, definitely appreciate your time, Landon.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
Best of luck. Thank you.